So you want to start collecting football boots. That's great, but I will warn you that it's very easy for this hobby to spiral out of control. See? If you're an aspiring football boot collector, then you probably have a love for football boots, perhaps one that's even a little bit unhealthy. Here's the thing, it's very easy to love football boots, it's another thing entirely to actually collect them all. So the question is, if you want to start a collection, what's the best way of going about actually collecting all of the boots that you want? So if you happen to be an aspiring collector, here are 3 tips on the best way to build your own football boot collection. Actually have the money to buy the football boots that you want to collect. This might seem like an obvious one, but here's where I'm going with this. I really wanted to be a football boot collector at age 12. However, my parents did not have the same vision for me in that they were not willing to buy all the boots that I wanted to collect. I sure proved them wrong though. I guess what I'm trying to say is that your football boot collection shouldn't take priority over the rest of your life. If it means paying your rent or buying some football boots, pay your rent. It's human nature to want things that we can't have, and in the case of collecting football boots, it's very easy to get sucked into buying as many boots as possible based on how much money is currently in your bank account. But is that the best way of doing things? Absolutely not. Just realize that collecting football boots is a hobby and it shouldn't be your main priority in life. Buy the boots that you can afford when you can afford them. Realize that collecting boots is not a sprint, it's a marathon that never ends. It's very expensive to enter. And I guess just a side note to go along with all of those points is that collecting football boots should be a hobby. Do not look at it as an investment opportunity, because to be perfectly honest with you guys, there are very few boots that you can buy, especially if you're having to purchase them in the resale market, that you're going to be able to buy and then sell for more than you paid. Quality over quantity. This should be the golden rule that you follow when building your football boot collection. Part of what makes any collection impressive is the amount of that one particular item that you have. But what I think a lot of aspiring or new collectors get caught up in regards to building their collection is just buying as many boots as possible for the sake of having a lot of boots. And yes, you'll have an impressive collection from the perspective that you have a bunch of boots, but the quality ultimately is what matters. And I haven't personally run into this particular issue in regards to my football boot collection, but when I was really heavy into collecting sneakers, I can tell you that there are a good probably 100 sneakers that I've purchased over the years that I bought simply because they were a good price or I could afford them at the time, and I thought they were kind of cool, but knew in the back of my head that it was never something that I was ever going to wear. I was just buying them to buy them. It was an impressive thing for the collection, but ultimately there's not a lot of meaning behind it. I don't really care that I have them, and that should be the priority when you're collecting anything. Collect the football boots that actually mean something to you. Follow this rule and not only will your collection be better, but you'll also end up saving money in the long run because you won't be caught buying the boots that you don't really care to have in the first place. If you're building a collection of football boots, it is very likely that you will end up in the resale market at one point or another. And what you'll find in the resale market is that a lot of these old desirable boots are very, very expensive, and it's very easy to overpay for those particular boots. So the piece of advice that I would definitely recommend following is don't overpay for the boots and have a little bit of patience. This is the part of collecting that requires a little bit of restraint, especially when you have the money to spend at that point in time and the boots that you really want are out there, but the price is a little bit too steep. Ultimately, it is your call. If you have $600 to spend on a pair of boots in the resale market and you're willing to pay that, by all means go and do it. But what I would advise and what I've done basically throughout my entire career of collecting boots is if there's a boot that I really want, it's on my radar and I'm checking eBay, I'm checking any kind of a resale market kind of periodically, every week, every 2 weeks, every month. It depends on how desperate I am for that particular boot. And eventually, it's almost always worked out like this. I find the boot that I really want for a price that I deem to be reasonable, at which point I actually make the purchase and add that boot to my collection. What I've pretty much never done is immediately gone into the resale market, found the boots that I want, saw that they are extremely expensive, and just bought them on the spot. That is never the best way of doing things, because what you have to realize about the resale market for football boots is that the prices really are all over the place. Just because you see a couple of the same boots on eBay for $1,000 doesn't necessarily mean they're actually worth $1,000. Make an offer, try and lower the price a little bit. It's never the right move to just pay the asking price and add the boots to your collection. Even though that might seem satisfying in the moment, in the long term, it's not the best way of doing things. So just to recap, tip number 1, have the money set aside to build your collection. And trust me when I say that your parents are not going to want to fund it. Number 2, quality over quantity. Buy the boots that you really want, not just a bunch of boots for the sake of having a bunch of boots. And then number 3, make sure you do not overpay in the resale market, because that is very, very easy to do. From here, all I can say is good luck. Anyways, guys, that's it for this one. If you enjoyed this video, please support it with a like. If you have any other questions regarding building a collection of football boots, leave it down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.